Hi, Lee Phillips here again. Yep, I'm one of them lawyers, liar. That's Texan for attorney. Y'all go down and see your liar. Anyway, let me talk about a concept in LLCs called member managed versus manager managed. And you may have been to the lawyer and you said, well, do I want it to be member managed or manager managed? And the answer is, who cares? Actually, it makes a huge difference. I ran into a situation this last week where the individual had set up an LLC and then had his IRA buy the membership interest, the stock, in the LLC, and then he was managing the LLC. The lawyer had set it up for him right, but here's the nuance. If you choose member managed, then only an owner, a member, can be a manager. Now, in the case I just explained, he wasn't the member, he wasn't the owner, he was the manager. So it had to be the choice of manager managed. You're going to hire somebody, or somebody who isn't an owner is going to be the manager of the LLC. Now, in 99% of the cases, it's your little company. You're going to be the manager. You're going to be the owner. You're the member and you're the manager. So it's member managed. Just pick that one. What do I mean pick? Well, there's a concept that I call pick two in LLCs. Back in 1977, when Wyoming created the first LLC legislation in the United States, the question was, Mr. IRS, how do you want to tax this? And it took 20 years for the IRS to figure out how they were going to tax an LLC. But during this period, they came back to Wyoming and they said, well, how do we know this isn't just a corporation? And Wyoming thought about it, and a corporation has four elements. It has the corporate shield, the limited liability. It has transferability. I can sell the stock freely. It has centralized management, which means, by definition, I can have the officers, directors, president, and they do not have to be owners of the company. They can be hired guns. So it has centralized management. And then it also has what we call continuity of life. And I've done YouTubes on each one of these four elements. But Wyoming came back and said, well, we'll make it so that it's not a corporation. We will only have two of these elements, and the people get to choose which two of the elements they have. Well, you're going to pick in your LLC limited liability, the corporate shield, duh. And which one of the other three you're going to pick? Doesn't really matter. If you pick manager managed, you have picked centralized management. You can't pick transferability or continuity of life. And by the way, continuity of life doesn't mean the company goes on forever. That's not the term of the company. That's whether or not the company dies when one of the owners, one of the members dies. But you only get to pick two. Well, if you pick manager managed, which the guy had to do in the case where his LLC was the member, the owner, then, or not the LLC was the member, the owner, the IRA was the member of the LLC, but he had to pick manager managed, so he can't pick the other two. I'd probably always pick member managed if it's going to be my company and I'm going to run it. I never am going to hire a gun to come in and manage my company. You can always go back in your operating agreement and redo which two of these you're picking. So that's okay. But often, and by the way, I read this guy's operating agreement and it didn't tell me. So I said, please give me your actual articles of organization that you filed with the state. And sure enough, right there on the articles of organization, the paper you file with the state, manager managed. So member managed versus manager managed. If you're going to own it, you're going to manage it, pick member managed, then you can pick either continuity of life or transferability. If you're in a situation where the owner, whether it's your IRA, and by the way, I don't like IRA LLCs, that's another video. But if you're going to pick, you're going to have your IRA, for example, be the owner, and I've got to have somebody else be the manager, you've got to pick manager managed. If you ever think, I might hire a guy to be my CEO, my manager of my LLC, then you would pick manager managed. That's kind of a little bit of information on what the difference between member managed and manager managed is. And yes, it does make a difference which one you pick. Oh, don't forget to subscribe. We're putting out a lot of these videos and we'll give you a little update on each one of them. If you'd like the language, by the way, in your LLC for member managed versus manager managed, give me an email, info@Legaleese, Legalees, that's my channel, info@Legaleese.com, and just say I want language for member managed, manager managed LLCs. Lee Phillips, talking about your LLC.